What you see on the screen right now is the current rarest pet in Grow a Garden, with an estimated spawn chance of 1 in 1 billion. Yeah, you heard that right, you only have a 1 in 1 billion chance of obtaining this thing. Okay, technically that's a lie, as the pet you see on the screen had only a 1 in 1 million spawn chance, but theoretically it could get as high as 1 in 1 billion for a reason I'll explain later. So what is this extremely rare pet? Well, it's the blue lobster. Many of you may be familiar with the lobster thermodor pet in Grow a Garden, a relatively useful creature that can provide your crops with valuable mutations, but you may not have known that it has an extremely hard to come across variant that is blue in color. In today's video, I'll be documenting everything you need to know about this one-of-a-kind pet, and how it manages to become the rarest in all of Grow a Garden. We have got a lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so in order to understand the ultra-rare blue lobster, we must first discuss its common relative, that being the red lobster. The lobster thermodor was released during the Cooking Event Part 2 update, as the rarest drop from the Culinarian chest, with 1 in only 100 chests rewarding the pet. The lobster thermodor was periodically able to apply the molten mutation to one of your crops, and rarely the meteoric mutation, making it one of the most useful creatures in the entire game, especially if you are stacking mutations on a specific crop in order to exponentially boost its value. The thing is though, the lobster thermodor also had a secret which, until recently, it alone kept to itself, and that is an insanely rare variant. Now, the cooking event introduced us to another pet called the mochi mouse, which was notable for how when obtained, it could spawn in a variety of different colors. The lobster thermodor also had this ability, but unlike the mochi mouse, whose variants all had an equal spawn rate, the lobster's one variant was insanely difficult to come across. This variant, of course, is the blue lobster. Not only did you have a mere 1% chance of obtaining the normal lobster thermodor from a Culinarian chest, but there was also a 1 in 10,000 chance that when you got it, the pet would be blue in color. This results in the chance of obtaining a completely normal blue lobster thermodor is 1 in 1 million. If we include the probability of obtaining a normal one in a Culinarian chest and combining it with the probability of it being blue in color. Now, in case you weren't aware, this blue lobster is actually a reference to blue lobsters in real life. Lobsters who carry a very rare genetic mutation that turns their color blue instead of the iconic red they are known for having. It's believed that every 1 in 2 million lobsters in real life have this mutation that is required for the blue color, which is a little rarer than it is for Grow a Garden. Something else you may have also noticed is how sometimes blue lobsters in Grow a Garden can be partially blue rather than fully blue, but this is believed to not impact the probability of the blue coloration, as it's likely the chance is the same for all variants of the blue lobster thermodor. So, with all of that being said, how did I manage to get its rarity all the way up to 1 in 1 billion? After all, we just calculated the chance of getting a blue lobster thermodor as 1 in 1 million. So, what's the deal here? Well, that value lies in its size. You see, at the beginning of this video, I showed you this image of a blue lobster with the mega mutation, causing it to be larger than normal. The size of this lobster was caused through an artificially added mutation to the pet, something which, although sounds cool, isn't actually that rare, and so I'm not considering it towards the probability of this pet. However, even without the use of artificial mutations, this size increase can happen naturally, and the odds of that occurring can really make the rarity of the blue lobster soar. In fact, it lets the rarity get so high it reaches the 1 in 1 billion value I've mentioned so many times. So, how is it done? Well, have you ever seen those images or videos of players getting supermassive pets? These aren't fake, but rather they are a feat of luck. You see, whenever a pet is obtained in Grow a Garden, it's assigned a weight value that determines its in-game size. The higher the weight, the bigger the pet. The cool thing is though, it's programmed that 1 in every 1,000 pets is spawned to be colossal in size, resulting in the extremely large creatures you can sometimes come across. I think you may be seeing where I'm going with this, but if we combine the 1 in 1000 spawn chance of a colossal-sized pet with the 1 in 10,000 spawn chance of a blue lobster thermodor, and we merge both of those with the initial 1 in 100 chance of getting a lobster from a culinarian chest, we get a whopping 1 in 1 billion spawn chance for a colossal blue thermodor, with only 1 in 10 million normal lobster thermodors being colossal and blue, as that value disregards the chance of getting one from a culinarian chest. What this means is that statistically, it's impossible, or at least very unlikely, for any of Grow Garden's whopping 20 million players to have ever obtained a colossal blue thermodor. Even if every single player had a lobster thermodor, which is definitely not the case given the rarity of just one normal colored one, only 2 colossal blue ones would exist, which is still an insanely low amount given how many players have played the game. What's even crazier is that the cooking event ended weeks ago, meaning there's no way players can obtain more culinarian chests, and therefore no more lobster thermodors can be created, resulting in all of the lobsters currently in-game being the last ones remaining. Now, from what I've seen, a handful of normal blue lobster thermodors do exist, but I don't think I've ever seen a completely natural colossal blue lobster, which makes sense given the sheer odds that need to be overcome in order to obtain it. Now, although that is where the blue lobster story comes to an end, it isn't actually the rarest pet in the whole game. In fact, the most recent update, at least as of recording this video, has introduced a pet with the exact same spawn chance as the blue lobster, and even the colossal blue lobster, and that is the black swan. Swans are a new pet added in the latest update, and they too have a 1 in 100 drop chance from their respective egg. And they also have an extremely rare variant just like the lobster thermodor, but instead of being blue, they can rarely be black in color. At the same probability, the lobster can be blue, so 1 in 10,000. If we tag on the natural colossal size increase, it means a colossal black swan has a 1 in 1 billion spawn chance as well, making it just as rare as the colossal blue lobster. It's probable that even more rare pet variants are added in future updates, but the swan and lobster thermodor are the only examples we have in the game currently, which is pretty cool. So, to summarize, combining the 1% chance of obtaining a lobster thermodor from a culinarian chest, the 1 in 10,000 chance for it being blue in color, and the 1 in 1,000 chance for it to spawn a colossal in size, a giant blue lobster thermodor has a 1 in 1 billion spawn chance, making it the rarest pet currently in Grow Garden, only being tied with a giant black swan, which has an exactly equal obtainment chance. It's unknown if either of these pets even exist, although given their rarities I highly doubt it. Now you could theoretically get rarer than this if you tag on mutations to the pets and things like that, but as for natural spawning conditions, this is as far as you can get. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of Grow Garden's rarest pets, as well as if you've seen any of them before, because I know most of you probably don't own them yourselves. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.